Well, guess that's business for you. Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Cujo Sports Talk Show. I am your host, Justin Crumley, and with me is a special guest. You guys recognize this guy as the lovable loaf himself, everyone's best friend, Vinny Brown. Vinny, introduce yourself to the
Hello,
people.
everyone.
And as you can tell, we are wearing Red Wings jerseys, which means we're going to be talking Red Wings. I guess, like I said, that's business as usual. Babcock is heading to the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's going to be their next head coach. It is an 8-year deal worth about $50 million. Easily the highest paid coach in the history of the NHL, which means he's going to earn about $6.5 million a year to coach the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, we're going to break this down into different ways. I want to get into Babcock first. Then we're going to get into the Toronto Maple Leafs. Then we're going to get into what the Red Wings, how they handled it, what they should do. However, we're going to try and make this as short as possible so you guys can watch this and get back to your lives. Go get in Arizona or whatever it is you like to drink. Go grab some Sour Patch Kids. Go grab some popcorn, a pizza, whatever you want. Sit back and enjoy the show. Alright, so as I said, we're going to break this up into 3 different segments. The first is going to be Mike Babcock. Vinny, I want to hear from you first. What do you think of Babcock going to the Toronto Maple Leafs?
He chose money over word, which, I liked him when we got him, yeah. And I thank him for it, but what has he done since '09? The last 3 out of 4 years, we've been a one and done. Which, that as a Wings fan, that hurts to watch. Your favorite team, first round out, it sucks.
See, yeah, that playoff streak's cool and all, but when you're one and done, it's getting old, and it's been that way the last 3 out of 4 years, as you mentioned. Now, I want to highlight some. I don't want to sound like I'm ripping on Babcock. I don't wish him any ill feelings. I'm over that. I've completely gotten over it. But I do want to highlight something that he said. Now, he said his credentials were that he wanted to go to a team that was in a spot to win and what his family liked. Those were the credentials. Money didn't matter, and personnel control didn't matter, because it was talk that Toronto was going to make him the GM, because they don't have a general manager either. Now, we don't know if Babcock's going to be the GM or not, or if he's just going to be the coach. My guess is he's probably just going to be the head. He might be both. I don't know. He might be the head coach. Who knows? But it's kind of funny that he says that, and then he takes the 8-year contract from Toronto, which I'm not blaming him for, because that's a lot of money, and you don't want to turn that down. But I just find it kind of like off that he said that money didn't matter, and all of a sudden here he goes to Toronto, who A, is not in a position to win, at least not now, and B, they offered him a lot of money, and he took it. Now, again, I'm not saying that he did a bad move. I just thought, now for the future, I'm going to have a hard time believing a free agent, anything, free agent, athlete, or coach, if they say money doesn't matter, because it's obvious it does. Look at Adama Sue. Look at Max Scherzer.
Mm-hmm.
2 big names from Detroit that left for the big bucks. And again, I don't blame anyone for doing that. I'm not going to call you stupid. I'm not going to call you an asshole. I'm not going to call you a traitor. Sports are sports, but it's mainly a business. And again, Babcock, I don't blame him for taking it. I just thought it was kind of weird that he says that money doesn't matter. All he wants to do is win, which makes sense, because if I were a coach in any sport,
That'd be my main.
That would be my main thing. I would rather win because, in my opinion, you're remembered for winning, not for the amount of money you made. That being said, I would love to get paid. Absolutely. And I think Babcock really set the bar high for coaches in the NHL. So, in a nutshell, Babcock went for the money, and I think he just likes the challenge. And he did say, I think this morning, like, Toronto is the team of Canada, and he wants to return them to their former glory. And and with that said, I don't want to insult the Maple Leafs or anything, but they haven't touched a Stanley Cup Finals since 1967. I don't even think they've been to a Finals. They haven't touched a Stanley Cup since '67. They have the longest drought in the NHL as far as cups go. And Mike Babcock hasn't even made it to the past the second round of the playoffs since 2009. Well, the Red Wings haven't, but he was the coach of the Red Wings in that time. So that's a huge statement for Babcock. He's really setting himself up. But I kind of like that. It shows confidence, and I think Toronto definitely does have a good coach behind their bench.
Yeah.
That's definitely something that they've needed for a while. So that's really all I have to say about Babcock. We're going to move on now. So what do you think of the Toronto Maple Leafs? What do you think is going to happen now? Do you think they did the right thing by paying this guy $6.5 million a year? Or do you think that's just a little too steep for a coach? I mean, there are players in the NHL that don't even make that much.
Well, they want to make the playoffs, that's for sure. And obviously, he's the coach to lead them to the playoffs. But how far will he take them?
do you think? Sorry to interrupt, but do you think they're going to make the playoffs in his first year?
I say in 3 to 4 years.
You think it's going to take 3 years?
3 to 4 years before they hit the playoffs.
I think for Toronto, they got their coach, and that's where a rebuild really starts. But now they got to start moving guys out. They got to move Dion Phaneuf, who
wants to come here.
Well, I don't know if he wants to, but there's rumors that the Red Wings are going to make a bid for him, and I wouldn't really mind that. But that's for another time. Phil Kessel's probably going to get moved. Not that he's a bad player, but that's a rebuild. Nazem Kadri is probably going to get moved.
Tyler
Bozak, maybe. I don't know. I don't really know a lot about Toronto, but
Reimer and Bernier, I don't know about them.
I think they'll keep one or the other. Maybe they might keep both. Who knows? We don't know what's going to happen. All I know is Toronto is in a rebuild mode, and that means you do get rid of a lot of your players, and you pick up prospects and young talent. And I think if they're going to move Phaneuf, and they do end up trying to give him to Detroit, Detroit has a lot of prospects they can give up for not a lot. And Detroit isn't one to trade prospects or draft picks. But like I said, we'll get to that if it ever happens, or I will. I don't know if he'll be around for that. But anyway, so I'm going to ask you again, do you think Toronto did the right thing by paying Babcock what they're going to pay him? Because there is no salary cap limit on a coach.
Yeah. Honestly, if I'm looking to make the playoffs and I need a coach, I can do it. I do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. See, I don't know if I'd pay him $6.5 million because it's like baseball. In baseball, there is no salary cap limit, but you don't want to commit to a guy for very long. Because, in baseball, it's all about, if you're going to trade this guy or not. And I don't think you can trade coaches in the NHL. I've never heard of that. So I don't think Toronto is going to have to worry about that. But I do think they might have to raise their ticket prices a bit.
Yeah.
To say the least. I don't know.
Honestly, if I'm the Maple Leafs, I would have given him a 5-year, $40 million contract. That's what I would have offered him if I'm the Maple Leafs. I'll give you 5 years for $40 million. What do you say?
Well, you're in a bidding war with San Jose, Detroit, and Buffalo.
That's true.
Now, we had heard that Detroit was out of it, right away. And Buffalo and Detroit, both dropped off the market at the same time. Because it looked like he was going to Buffalo. Detroit actually raised their amount to 4 years at 4 years at I think $16 million. They were going to pay him $4 million a year, which would still make him the highest paid coach in NHL history. Toronto they kind of played it right. They kind of hid away in the bushes. They were said to have been out of the race, and then boom, out of nowhere, they just came right out and they got them. They got their coach. They're all happy. It is what it is. All right, guys, we're going to talk about the Red Wings now. All right, Vinny, I'm going to ask you first. Who do you think are some candidates to take the spot?
Dan Blythesma, Jeff Blashill, Vancouver's ex-head coach John Travolta, or Tortorella, however you say it.
John Travolta's an actor.
John Tortorella. I don't know how you say his name.
It might be.
Those are just some rumors that could be flying around.
See, I've heard the biggest name floating around is Jeff Blashill. Now, Jeff Blashill's been the AHL coach for their farm system, the Grand Rapids Griffins. I've paid attention to the Grand Rapids Griffins all season. And I absolutely love what I see out of Jeff Blashill. In fact, in 2013 when he took over, he was the Red Wings assistant coach in 2012, but he took over the Griffins in 2013, and they won a Calder Cup. It was the first Calder Cup in Griffins history. And when you look at the Red Wings roster, Thomas Tatar, Gustav Nyquist, Riley Sheahan, Thomas Yurko, Peter Mrazek, Luke Glendening, Joachim Anderson. These are guys that Blashill coached in 2013. So he already knows like a good chunk of the roster. And you got veteran leadership in Pavel Datsyuk, Henrik Zetterberg, Nicholas Kronwall. You got the veteran leadership right there. So I think the Wings are still in good shape. I really do. I don't think they're going to fall off the planet and start losing or whatever.
They're too good of a team.
Am I guaranteeing that Jeff Blashill is going to do good? Absolutely not.
No.
Because for all we know, he could be an AHL coach, and that's it. I am saying that he would be my first choice because he already knows the roster. He knows the system, and he's developed these kids, these guys that are playing on the team now.
Not to mention, but he knows Jimmy Howard, too.
Well, everybody knows Jimmy Howard. Anyway, so that'd be my pick.
Oh yeah, same.
Definitely would be Jeff Blashill. Dan Blythesma would be good, but I'm not betting on it. I don't know why the hell the Sharks haven't called him or
Buffalo.
Like I don't know. I thought he was pretty solid, especially with Pittsburgh.
Led the Penguins to the first Stanley Cup since '92, I believe. Yeah.
No, in '92 it was the Montreal Canadiens.
Oh. I know
I think no. You might be right. Hold on.
I feel like
my bad. '93 was the Canadiens. '92 was the Penguins. You were right.
Yeah, he took them to the first cup in about 17 years.
17, because 2009 they beat the Wings.
Yeah, so he's a good coach. I don't know why no one's called him.
I don't know either. I don't really know much about the guy you mentioned from Vancouver. I'm not sure I want him at all because Vancouver was kind of shitty for the past few years, and they've had a lot of management issues until recently.
Right.
Yeah, so my pick would definitely be Jeff Blashill.
Same here.
Because he already knows the system and he knows these kids. And I just think that'd be the best chance. Overall, I would say Jeff Blashill is probably the top is the best choice. He definitely is the top candidate. And like I said, a lot of the guys, he already knows. And at the moment, the Griffins are in the third round of the AHL playoffs.
Wow.
Yeah, they're tearing it up. I've told you, I've been following them since the beginning of the year. You remember when we were tweeting in that little group?
Yes.
During Red Wings games? How many fucking times did I mention Teemu Pulkkinen? Like before his name was even relevant among the Wings. Granted, he didn't do that good when he was a Red Wing, but I mean, the guy led the AHL in scoring, and he was tearing it up. And I kept telling everybody, I said, when like I think it was Franzen got injured.
It was Franzen.
Was it Franzen?
Yes.
Maybe it was. But I was like, call Teemu Pulkkinen up. Call Teemu Pulkkinen up. Sure shit. Eventually, he got his shot. Landon Ferraro got a shot too, but two more guys at Jeff Blashill has developed. Yeah, Alexei Marchenko, same thing. You know, it's to me, it's obvious. I think Jeff Blashill is the clear cut choice to go with. That's just my opinion. Red Wings fans, I want to know what you think of all this. Same for the Maple Leafs fans. What do you think of Mike Babcock coming in? You've heard our thoughts. Let me know in the comment section below. Alright guys, it's that special time of the show where I give out shoutouts. I have 4 this time. I didn't have any last time because I just didn't feel like giving them last time. I only have 4 today, as I just mentioned. 2 of them are friends of mine from Twitter. The other 2 are players for the Tigers. Why am I giving Tigers shoutouts? Because it's my show and I can do that. Alright, first shout out goes to my friend Emily Goldfinch, who lives in Toronto, or close to it. She is a Maple Leafs fan, I think, or she was. Last time I talked to her, she hated them. Anyway, her Twitter handles are @LetThisGo in all capitals and an underscore at the end of it, and @Emily underscore Goldfinch, all lowercase letters. If you guys have a Twitter account, you should definitely follow both of them. She's really funny. She's really cool. She loves Paramore. She's awesome. And since I gave you a shout out, Emily, I'd like to know your thoughts on Mike Babcock coming to coach your favorite team, the Maple Leafs. Let me know in the comment section, or let me know on Twitter. If you even really care to comment, it's always welcome. Alright, second shout out goes to my friend Bobby Keiko. Keiko. I probably botched that really bad, so sorry, Bobby. His Twitter handle is @SaberBills_716, and I'm giving him a shout out because his team, the Buffalo Sabres, were in the run for Babcock, and it looked like they were going to get him. So, damn light. So, yeah, that's why I'm giving him a shout out. I just want him to feel good about himself. Well, that, and he is a good friend of mine on Twitter, and he's really cool. He's fun to talk to. If you are a Yankees fan, Buffalo Sabres, or Buffalo Bills fan, you should definitely give this guy a follow. Tell him the Cujo man sent you. Shout out number 3 goes to David Price for striking out 12 today against the Astros. Too bad the Tigers almost blew it. But, keyword, almost. Because the Tigers actually won today, thanks to the hot bat of James McCann, who gets the 4th shout out on this installment. James McCann hit a walk-off home run today. I was taking a dump when this happened, so I didn't get to see it. And, yeah, I've seen the highlights. It's really cool. Glad to see the Tigers win today. A much-needed win. Let's get back at it tomorrow. I have no life. So anyway, guys, that's all we got for you today. If you guys are on Twitter, definitely follow this guy. I don't remember what your Twitter handle is. You change it like every week.
Huh?
Wow. Anyway, guys, that's all we got. For Vinny Brown, I'm Justin Crumley. This is Cujo Productions, signing out.